Under the Vienna Convention, states agree to exempt diplomatic luggage from airport searches.
He is my first ambassador at large assigned to promote Zimbabwe brand. We had to subject this young man to training in diplomacy. It's difficult to train a...
We will be considering this matter concerning Uebert Angel that has been trending everywhere. And as a matter of fact, as of the time of recording this video, Uebert Angel has uploaded a video on his YouTube channel that seems somewhat as a subtle response to this whole saga. And of course, it's more like the response is just more like Uebert Angel. In that response, you could see him not, he felt less concerned. And as a matter of fact, in the title of that, in the title of the video that was uploaded, he said, "I'm open for business." And he went ahead to explain, look, I'm a diplomat, and my job as a diplomat is to sell my country. And the product which I sell is my country and all of that, I'm not actually here to defend Uebert Angel. No, not at all. If you have been following this channel, you understand what we have been doing over the time concerning Uebert Angel. But that aside, there's something that people have not actually been, an aspect of this story people have not actually considered. Because of course, Uebert Angel is a well popular actor in this whole saga. So his own aspect in this whole investigation got to trend a whole lot. And this is my concern, because somehow the church was mentioned. And if the church was mentioned, it means it's a subtle attack upon the church. But that aside, now there's a picture which people are not actually considered in this whole saga. What was the crime of Uebert Angel? What was his crime? His crime in this whole investigation is that he was willing to launder up to $1.2 billion US for some supposedly criminals that wants to buy gold. What do you expect? First of all, Al Jazeera, everything we are analyzing, everything we are looking at is just from the point of view of Al Jazeera. Yes, Al Jazeera called those people criminals, but there is nowhere in that video, in that documentary, that suggests that those people were actually criminals. That was what we are told. So we've not seen anywhere during the meeting or after the meeting that suggests that they presented themselves to Uebert teams as criminal. So the whole of these things, we are just only seeing it from the eyes of Al Jazeera. Now that aside, the crime of Uebert Angel was just simple. He was willing to launder $1.2 billion US for supposedly undercover agents which pose themselves as criminals. Let's just assume they are criminals. All right. But what do you expect them to do? Let's not forget that Zimbabwe is facing decades. Zimbabwe is facing decades of sanctions. And what does this mean? They cannot trade their natural resources on the international market. No government cannot come out as an entity to trade their gold on the international market. Likewise, any state actor cannot even come out to trade their gold on the international market. So what do you expect them to do? They have resources that they needed to sell. And the only way they can successfully sell this thing is that they will look for individuals that are willing to take the risk. And that is why mafians are always looking for countries that are facing sanctions, helping them to evade sanctions. It's logical. You created a monster, yet these people needed to sell their gold. One thing about this sanction that we should understand is that when United States impose sanction upon a nation, United Kingdom impose sanction, this sanction also trickles down to the allies of United States and United Kingdom. This sanction also trickled down to the allies of United States and United Kingdom. So what does that mean? Those people who are allies of United States and United Kingdom would also be forced not to do business with you. Of course, if you don't see people that will do business with you legally, the only alternative is to look for people that are willing to still enter into trade with you, and this is the place where mafians comes into place. Of course, were you expecting Uebert Angel to begin to investigate his partners? These guys wants to buy gold, okay, and they have the product. So we're expecting to start investigating when he knows that his country, as a matter of fact, don't have much to bargain in that table, because your country is facing some kind of sanction. So it is more like these supposedly mafians wanting to help the country. We want to help you to evade sanction. There are a lot of questions we should be asking ourselves. I understand very well that the sanction was imposed upon them because of abuses on human rights, abuses on free flow of democracies, yes. But on the second thought, who has made the West judge over issues that affect our concerns Africans? Who made them judge? This is one aspect people are not actually considering. I mean, this is one aspect that we have not actually considered. Who has made them judge? Now, why was it possible for Uebert Angel to have been able to launder money? Because in that clip, you heard him saying that he has done deals like this kind up to the tune of 200 million and all of that. All these things were possible or will be possible because of a law during the Vienna Convention by United Nations that exempt diplomat luggage. Now mark this word. That exempts diplomats' luggage from being searched. If you ask me, the main criminals in this whole saga are the people that created such law. I mean, some group of people came together and they sat together and they said, let's not be searching the luggage of diplomats. This is just a pure breeding ground for whosoever that calls himself diplomats to be able to carry contrabands, luggages or goods in and out across border. If you ask me, I think the real criminals in this whole case should be those people that made that provision, those people that created that room for diplomats to be able to carry luggage in their bags. The true criminals in this whole saga are actually people that created that law, that made it possible for luggage of diplomats not to be searched. I mean, what do you expect? So are you trying to tell me that all of those diplomats, so-called diplomats, are actually saints? The way I see it is just the Western way, the Western world way of creating room, seeing that the resources of countries in Africa are being laundered out of the nation. So now that we now saw the opposite of it happening, people from the West now laundering money into Africa, we now see Al Jazeera coming up. The way I see it, this law, when it was created, it had in mind that leaders, especially African leaders or African diplomats, will be able to launder money into their nation. Because this is exactly the means by which most of our wealth are being stolen into all this. You've heard the Swiss bank and all of these foreign countries. Because I mean, why would you create a law that exempts diplomats' luggage from being searched? And you expect them not to exploit that means to launder cash and even do other idiot crimes. Well, this whole thing, just like I said, we've actually examined it from the eyes of Al Jazeera investigation. And I've also pointed out there is no place in those meetings that those people suggest that those people introduce themselves as criminals. We are just told that they introduce themselves as criminal by Al Jazeera commentator. But that aside, my concern in this whole thing is that somehow the church was mentioned. The church was mentioned in that investigation, and this is where I'm bothered. Because that will give a wrong motive. That would give a wrong motive to what the church actually represents. Uebert Angel being a supposedly Christian leader. What will people think? What will people actually think? But my consolation is in this, that no matter what, in as much as we've always said over and over that you can't peddle truth on falsehood, likewise also we are saying that truth will always prevail over falsehood. truth will always prevail, no matter how the church is attacked. So long as we have people that are still willing to stand for the truth in the church, then the church of God will continue to march on. And from me to you, peace out.